Welcome students to the last part of the video of this chapter. In this video we'll study about batteries and then we'll study about corrosion. Batteries, that is, any galvanic cell can be used as batteries, as the galvanic cells are the electrochemical cells from which currents can be withdrawn. Okay, to use galvanic cell as a commercial cell, they must fulfill two requirements. That is, they should be compact, light and portable. Its voltage should not drop during use. That is, the drop in the voltage should be negligible over a small interval of time during which it is being put to use. Okay. Now, if the number of cells are connected in series, the arrangement is called batteries. However, the term battery is sometimes used for single cells also, but it is not the correct usage. If we connect the cells in series, it will form batteries. The various batteries can be classified into following two types: primary batteries or cells and secondary batteries or cells. Let us see these. Let us see the examples of these cells one by one. First is dry cell. Before starting dry cell, I want to explain that the primary cells or primary cells are those cells in which redox reaction occurs only once. That is, the cells becomes dead after some time. Okay, that is, they cannot be used over and over again. Example is dry cell and one more mercury cell. Whereas the secondary cell are the cells which can be recharged. That is, the batteries which are rechargeable comes into secondary cell. Example of this is lead storage battery and nickel cadmium storage cell. Okay, let us start dry cell now. In dry cell, which is commonly used in transistors, clock, etc., is a type of Leclanché cell. Okay, it consists of a cylindrical zinc container which is acting as anode. See here, it is the negative pole. It is the zinc container. A graphite rod is placed in the center and the space between the anode and cathode is packed. That zinc container is in touch with the paste of NH4Cl and ZnCl2, and the graphite rod is surrounded by manganese dioxide and carbon paste. Now the graphite rod is fitted with a metal cap. See here, it is a metal cap and the cylinder is sealed at the top so that there is no leakage and no contact with the atmosphere. The reaction taking place inside the cell is a complex reaction which can be simplified as under. For example, in anode, the zinc is oxidized to form zinc 2 plus ion and gives 2 electron, whereas cathode reaction comprises of manganese dioxide plus ammonium ion accepting 2 electron to form dimanganese trioxide, ammonia and water. Okay, these are the reactions taking place inside the cell. If we cut a dry cell, it looks like this. Now, these cells have the voltage range of 1.25 to 1.5 volt and they do not have long life because the acidic NH4Cl is acidic in nature and it corrodes the zinc container even when the cell is not in use. Okay, now let us see the next cell called mercury cell or button cell. Button cell because of its compactness. It is used in hearing aids, watches, etc. because of its small size. It also consists of a zinc container which acts as anode a carbon rod as cathode in the middle, and a paste of mercury oxide mixed with KOH. Mercury oxide with KOH is filled inside the container, which is acting as an electrolyte. The lining of the porous paper, this is the porous paper, keeps the electrolyte separated from zinc anode. So, direct contact between the zinc anode and the electrolyte is separated by this porous paper. Okay. Mercury cell, cross section of the mercury cell is like this. If you cut the mercury cell, it will looks like this. This is the 3D look. The cell reaction can be represented as anode. At anode, zinc is oxidized again to form zinc oxide, and at cathode, mercury oxide is reduced to form liquid mercury. The overall reaction may be represented as zinc solid plus mercury oxide, zinc oxide plus Hg. Okay. As the overall cell reaction does not involve any ion whose concentration may change, therefore this cell gives a constant potential of 1.35 volt throughout its life. That is, the voltage will remain constant. However, the spent cell should be reprocessed for mercury recovery or treated to prevent mercury or mercury compounds from entering the atmosphere, because it is a poisonous metal and causes pollution. Okay. Because this also looks like a pellet type, like a tablet, it is also known as button cell. Right? Now let us see the examples of secondary cells which are rechargeable in nature. First is the lead storage battery. This is the most common battery used in automobiles and inverters. Inverter battery. A 12 volt lead storage battery is generally used, which consists of 6 cells. See here, 6 cells which each producing 2 volt voltage. The lead cell consists of lead anode. The anode is made up of lead bars which are connected in series. This pink one are the lead bars. Okay, and a grid of lead packed with lead dioxide. Lead dioxide forms the positive plates, that is cathode. These electrodes are arranged alternately and are dipped in a suspended in a dilute H2SO4 solution. So, our electrolyte is dilute H2SO4. To increase the current output of each cell, the cathode plates are joined together and the anode plates are also joined together. That is, the cells are connected in parallel, anode to anode and cathode to cathode. Now the reaction occurring in the cell is, at anode, lead with sulfate ion forms lead sulfate, and at cathode, lead dioxide with sulfate ion and H plus ion, that is proton accepting two electrons, forms lead sulfate. That is, the reduction of lead is occurring here, going from +4 to +2 state, oxidation state of Pb changing from +4 to +2, right? The overall reaction may be represented as this. Now this is the 3D structure of the actual battery. Now it is clear from this reaction that H2SO4 is used up during the discharge. During the cell reaction, H2SO4 is constantly used up. Therefore, the density of H2SO4 in the cell drops. When it falls below 1.2 gram per centimeter cube, the battery needs recharging Again, during recharging, the cell is operated like an electrolytic cell. That is, the anode will act as cathode and cathode will act as anode. Also, these reaction will reverse. The reaction occurring at anode is now occur at cathode during recharging, and the reaction occurring at cathode will occur at anode. Such an operation is possible because lead sulfate formed during discharge is a solid and stick to the electrodes. It is therefore in a position to either receive or give up electrons during the electrolysis. Okay. Now let us see the next storage battery, that is nickel cadmium storage cell. The 3D structure of the cell looks like this. It has a longer life than lead storage cell but is more expensive due to the expensive metals. It consists of cadmium electrode as anode. Okay, this is the cadmium electrode anode and the metal grade containing nickel oxide immersed in potassium hydroxide solution. This is a separated solution and is electrolyte. The electrode reaction occurring during discharge is this, that is cadmium reacting with hydroxide and forming cadmium hydroxide and giving out 2 electrons, and at cathode nickel oxide with H2O and accepting 2 electrons getting converted into nickel hydroxide. Okay. As the lead storage cell, the reaction products adhere to the electrodes. Here also, reactions can be reversed during recharging. For recharging again, the reaction will get reversed. No gases are produced during recharging or discharging, that is, the battery can be sealed. And the look is similar to dry cell. It is compact and small in size. Next type of cell are fuel cells. They are the devices which convert energy produced during the combustion of fuels like hydrogen and oxygen. They are fuels. Hydrogen is a fuel. Hydrogen, methane, methanol, etc. directly to the electrical energy. For converting the energy of the fuel to converting energy, the setup is known as fuel cells. Such a conversion is possible because combustion reactions are which type of reaction? Redox reaction. They are redox reaction. One of this type of cell is the hydrogen oxygen fuel cell. Okay. The general design is shown in this figure. It consists of a porous carbon electrodes containing suitable catalyst. These are the carbon electrodes containing catalyst like platinum and palladium. Concentrated alkali, whether it is KOH or NaOH, is filled in between these catalysts, and hydrogen gas and oxygen gases are bubbled through the porous electrodes from the sides. The reaction taking place, hydrogen is oxidized to H2O, whereas at cathode oxygen is reduced to OH minus ion. That is, the overall reaction is H2 plus O2 to H2O. Okay, this is fuel cell. Now let us see what the corrosion is. Corrosion is the process in which the metal are slowly eaten away by the attack of atmospheric gases on the surface of metals by the formation of compounds such as oxides, sulfides, carbonates, sulfates, etc. Most common example is the corrosion of iron, where rust is formed. The corrosion of iron or corrosion is a electrochemical process which can be explained with the help of this figure. The formation of water vapor on the surface of the metal. Water vapor on the surface of the metal dissolve carbon dioxide and oxygen from the air. And what forms? It will form carbonic acid, that is carbon dioxide in water. Okay, this carbonic acid will act as electrolyte for the solution, which is a weak electrolyte and dissociates to small extent. H plus ion produced by dissolution of other acids also, like sulfur dioxide, which forms sulfuric acid, etc. Iron in contact with the dissolved oxygen, this, and presence of H plus ion undergoes oxidation to form Fe2 plus ion here, and this is the reaction for anode. Iron 2 Fe2 plus is anode reaction. The electron lost by iron migrate through the metal to another site of the surface and reduce dissolved oxygen to water. This is the cathode reaction, anode reaction and cathode reaction. Okay. Now, the overall reaction for the corrosion can be written as iron plus oxygen plus H plus ion giving rise to ferrous ions and water. The E cell for the reaction is 1.67 volt. Now, the ferrous ion forms react with oxygen in the air and water, forming Fe2O3. Okay, ferroferric oxide. This again combines with water, which is taken as water of hydration to form hydrated ferric oxide, which is known as rust. This is the process by which corrosion occurs. Now, the prevention of corrosion is very important as it causes damage to buildings, bridges, ships, etc. The objects made up of metals, especially irons. Okay, so the prevention will save money and materials also, and also the accidents like collapse of bridge, etc. So there are the process by which corrosion is prevented. First is the barrier protection. Barrier protection means the metal surface is not allowed to come in contact with moisture and oxygen and carbon dioxide. So how this can happen? By coating the metal surface by any paint, etc., or by film, or by any non-corroding metal like nickel, chromium, etc. Second type of prevention is sacrificial protection. For example, metal surface is coated by more active metal than iron. Okay, so the oxidation of that metals occur and the iron do not come in contact with the atmospheric air or water. For example, when iron is coated with the active metal like zinc, the process is known as galvanization. Zinc combines with air to form zinc carbonate, and a protective invisible thin layer of zinc carbonate and zinc hydroxide is formed, which protects the iron sheets from further loss or further corrosion. Third type of protection is known as electrical protection or cathodic protection. In this, the iron object act as cathode and is linked to a more active metal by a wire which act as anode. So the anode gets corroded and the iron object remains safe. These are the process of these are the methods of prevention of corrosion of iron. Thank you.